This conference will now be recorded.
नमस्सर्वेभ्यः अष्टाध्यायी.com इत्यस्य पक्षतः प्रारभ्यमाणे अस्मिन् इंट्रोडक्शन टू अष्टाध्यायी इत्युक्ते अष्टाध्यायी परिचयः इत्याख्ये नूतने उपक्रमे समेषाम् अत्र उपस्थितानां वैयाकरणानां सहार्दं स्वागतम्। वर्गस्य प्रारम्भं मङ्गलाचरणेन कुर्मः। शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। येनाक्षरसमाम्नायमधिगम्य महेश्वरात् कृत्स्नं व्याकरणं प्रोक्तं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः। वाक्यकारं वररुचिं भाष्यकारं पतञ्जलिं पाणिनिं सूत्रकारं च प्रणतोऽस्मि मुनित्रयम्। पुनरेकवारं सर्वेषां सविनयं सहार्दं स्वागतम्। Welcome everyone to this new course called Ashtadhyayi Parichayah or Introduction to Ashtadhyayi. This course is specifically designed for beginners, for those students who have very little or no background in Ashtadhyayi, and this course offers a systematic and a smooth introduction for all these students in this mesmerizing world of Sanskrit grammar. This is the first class today, so let us start by quickly taking a look at some of the course guidelines. In fact, all the guidelines of this course are actually woven around a very well-known shloka, which all of you must be familiar with. Acharyat padamadatte, padam shishyaha swamedhaya, padam sabrahmacharibhyaha, padam kalakramena cha. This verse gives 4 different stages of earning the knowledge, and all these 4 stages are precisely the 4 guidelines of this course. Let us explore these one by one. First is Acharyat Padamadatte. All of us are going to gain only a quarter of knowledge from the teacher. And what should our approach be in order to get that quarter of a knowledge? Number 1, please attend classes regularly. Number 2, just don't be a Shravanacharya. Take notes. Come with a pen, paper, and full attention. Take notes. And you might not understand everything in the flow of the class, so please make sure to watch the recordings once again. I always tell this in all my classes that I usually go faster than what people generally consume. So please watch recordings at least once again. So that's Acharyat Padamadatte. The next phase is Padam Shishyaha Swamedhaya. The next quarter of knowledge is obtained by students' own intellect. And this can be achieved by participating in the class discussions. This is going to be an interactive class. So participate in the discussions, ask questions, answer questions asked by others, and so on. And of course, for that Swamedha aspect, I'm very curious to see your Medha. Therefore, there will be homework in every class. At the end of the class, a homework will be presented based on the material taught in that class. Of course, I'm not going to grade the homework. This is not a certificate or a grading based course, but please do the homework on time to fully get this second quarter of knowledge. Padam Shishyaha Swamedhaya. The third quarter is Padam Sabrahmacharibhyaha. The source of your third quarter of knowledge are your own classmates. You can see the list over here in GoToMeeting, and your fellow learners. We already have a WhatsApp group. Please use it to the best of your abilities. Ask questions on the group when you're stuck. And when you see someone who has asked a question, try answering it even if you are not confident. It's okay to make mistakes, and everyone will learn more when they teach others. And therefore, personally, I am going to participate very little on all the technical discussions on the group. I'm going to let you all handle it. For the most part, I'm going to be a silent observer of these discussions. So that's Padam Sabrahmacharibhya. And finally, that brings us to the final quarter of the knowledge, Padam Kalakramena cha. The knowledge will slowly come as the time goes. It's like building muscles. Lifting weights on 1 day or 2 days is not going to build muscles. Doing that for 6 months in a row is going to give you the results. Kalakramena. And therefore, it is very, very crucial, specifically for Vyakarana, to revise the subject material regularly, to read the additional reference materials whenever I provide them. And most importantly, do not rush. Let this knowledge sink down your brain at its own pace. We all know the story of the hare and the tortoise. We all want to be the tortoise of that story, not the hare. So these are basically the 4 fundamental guidelines of this course. Because this is the first class, I thought I'll spend some time on them. And the most important 5th guideline, which is probably not listed over here, but beyond them, extremely important, is whatever you do, please have fun. Enjoy every bit of this experience, because Vyakarana, believe me, is an immensely beautiful field. And it is full of intellectually stimulating arguments and counter arguments. And if you are one of those people who has ever felt that Vyakarana was tedious, complex, just tables, Rama, Ramo, Ramaha, the only reason behind that is that you have never learned it the right way. And that's the problem we are going to fix in this course. We are going to make the study of Vyakarana beautiful again. And why does that really matter? Because as our Shastras tell us, Vyakarana is not just a tool of separating out sadhu shabdas from asadhu shabdas. Well, that's there. Vyakarana is going to do it. But that's not why the Vyakarana is for. In our Shastras, Vyakarana has been portrayed as one of the darshanas. It's a mean of acquiring the ultimate knowledge. It's a mean of acquiring the moksha. If you go to our website, the about ashtadhyayi.com page gives exactly this essence. Iyam sa mokshamananam ajimha rajapadhatihi. Ajimha means straightforward, non-crooked. For those who are desirous of getting the moksha, Vyakarana is the straightforward Rajamarga. And it is this Rajamarga on which we have started putting our baby steps today. Let's move ahead. We all know that we are here to learn Ashtadhyayi Sutras in this course, but that's a very vague statement. 4,000 sutras, multiple commentaries. Who knows what we will learn? Therefore, before we move ahead, I would like to formalize properly what we intend to achieve from this course by stating down clear prayojanas, clear deliverables. So, towards that end, I have chosen 2 fundamental deliverables for this course, prayojana dvayam. And I will be reminding you of this prayojana at the start of every class. First, अष्टाध्याय्याः आहत्य चतुश्शतं सूत्राणां व्याख्यानसहितम् उदाहरणसहितं च अध्ययनम्. At the end of this course, you will find yourself at least knowledgeable in 400 sutras of Ashtadhyayi. I have specifically chosen these sutras so that you will get a breadth of knowledge in Subanta Prakaranam, Tiganta Prakaranam, some Kradantas, some Tadhitas, some Karakas, Lakaras, Vibhaktis, Samasas, Sandhis, and so on. Ashtadhyayi has a total of 4,000 sutras. We are just going to do 10% of that. Those of you who know Laghu Siddhanta Kaumudi, just for comparison, Laghu Siddhanta Kaumudi has 1,200 sutras. So our goal is not studying Laghu Siddhanta Kaumudi. The name of this course is not Laghu Siddhanta Kaumudi. It is Ashtadhyayi Parichayaha, just getting introduced to Ashtadhyayi. And when I say we will learn 400 sutras, believe me, that's just the introduction that you will end up after this 400 sutras. And how are we going to study this? Vyakhyana Sahitam. We are going to learn commentaries. Not just one commentary, but we are going to learn multiple commentaries, because each of them gives you a beautiful gem that will give a lot of aha moments for that sutra. We are going to study examples and counter examples. We are going to study where that sutra is applicable, why is it needed, and so on. That's what we are going to do for a total of 400 sutras in this course. It will take probably a year or a year and a half. So that's the first prayojana. The second prayojana, which I am not going to do, you are going to do, but I am going to guide you. Ashtadhyayaha Prathamadhyayasya Prathamapadasya Kanthasthikaranam. Ashtadhyayi has 8 adhyayas. Ashtadhyayi, that's a no-brainer. And each adhyaya has 4 pada. Out of that, all of us want to memorize, not read, memorize 1.1 Prathamadhyayasya Prathamah Padaha, starting from Vruddhiradayij Adengunaha all the way up to Tyadadinicha Eng Pracham Deshe. It's not much, just 75 sutras. 111 up to 1175. We are going to study, we are going to memorize, not study, memorize 75 sutras that form the first pada, first quarter of the first adhyaya. Obviously, I don't expect you to start with this today. I'm just setting the goals today so that we know what we have to accomplish at the end of first year. As the course progresses, I will get you all started with proper techniques of memorization. Now, at this point, I'm going to take a pause here. I'm just going to also explain in a minute how the class runs. So in order, for everybody to save bandwidth and sit relaxed and probably to pay attention to the class and not how they are looking, I have switched webcams off. So you don't need to switch on your webcams. I have also muted you by default so that there is no background noise. But at any point in time you have a question or you want to talk, there is a raise hand symbol. Take a minute to look on your screen. It is usually on the leftmost side. Different versions might have it in different places, but there is a raised hand symbol. If you press that raise hand symbol, I will know that you have to say something, you have to ask or you have to answer, and then at the right time I will unmute you for talking whatever you want to talk. So I'm going to take a pause here at the moment. I will let you find out that raise hand button. And if you have any questions in general about the course logistics, not the subject matter, course logistics, please use the raise hand button to inform me. Then I'll unmute you and then you can ask your questions. I'll wait for a minute. If there are no questions, I will start with the subject matter. There is also a chat interface available. Those of you who don't have a microphone and who are unable to talk can use the chat interface. Please be aware that whatever you chat is directly going to all the participants. So it's not just with me, it's not a private chat, it's a common chat for all the participants. So you can also use that chat interface if you're comfortable with that. So we have Shailaji's hand raised. So let me now unmute you and then you can ask questions. Namaste.
Namaste, Mahodaya. You said that Vyakarna is Rajamarga for Moksha. Can you please elaborate on that?
In tomorrow's class, I'm going to talk about this in details. Let's hold back till tomorrow.
Okay. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Anybody else? I'll wait for a few minutes. Otherwise, we can move on. Please make sure to mute yourself after you're done so that there is no disturbance. We have Arunji. Arunji, I have 1 second. Yeah, you can speak.
Namaskara, Mahoday.
Namaste.
Mahoday, the recordings you said can be listened to. I wanted to know where these will be made available for us.
The recordings will be made available at ashtadhyayi.com's YouTube channel. I assume most of you are already subscribed. If not, go to the home page. On the home page, you have the subscribe to YouTube. So if you go to the home page, you will say YouTube.Ashtadhyayi. Just go there and subscribe. Yeah, and whatever that bell icon has to be clicked so that you can get the notifications. Okay?
And it will be under what heading?
Ashtadhyayi Parichayaha. I mean, I'll create a playlist so that all the classes are sequentially arranged. And the recordings are available for everyone. There is nothing private going on over here. So if you miss a class or if there is a friend of yours who is not attending live and would like to learn, you can just direct them to the recordings.
Thank you, Mahadev. Namaskar.
After your question is done, you can lower your hand so that I know that the answer has been accepted. I'll wait for a minute again. Feel free to ask logistics related questions. Subject related, we have next 1 year. I will ask a lot of questions before you ask me. So I just also want to mention a couple of things. I mentioned earlier that slides will not be there, but I'll try my best to create slides, at least in the introductory classes. Later on, when we start learning sutras, I will be directly teaching from the website. So at that time, there might not be any slides. And the discussion, the language of discussion is going to be a mix of English and Sanskrit. When we start studying the sutras, I'll switch to more Sanskrit. But I believe that the foundations have to be done in a language that you are pretty familiar with. So initial few classes will be heavily English biased. Astu. Prarabhamahe. So let us start with, this is a course on Ashtadhyayi, which is a Vyakaranam. So let's start with the most obvious thing, what is Vyakaranam? And I'm sure everybody of you have learned that standard textbook definition of what is Vyakaranam. So here is my first question. What is the definition of the word Vyakaranam? What is the Vyutpatti of the word Vyakaranam? If you want to answer, raise the hands. Okay, I have 2 hands raised. If anybody already knows, I thought this was taught in the basic Gita Pravesha or I don't know, Kovida courses. But let's see. I will unmute Geeta ji. One line definition I'm looking for. What is Vyakaranam? Geeta ji, I'm unmuted.
नास्ति महोदय येन शास्त्रेण साधुशब्दानां शब्दान् ज्ञातुं शक्यते तत् शास्त्रं व्याकरणशास्त्रम्.
So yena shastrena sadhu shabdanam jnanam bhavati. That's understandable, but this is not the definition. What is the vyutpatti? What you have mentioned is correct. It's the meaning of the meaning of the word. What I'm looking for is the precise vyutpatti of the word. We have a bunch of hands, so let me just randomly check. Lalita ji, you want to answer the question? Lalita ji, I've already unmuted you. You can unmute yourself, Lalita Achyuta, and answer the question. Okay, seems there is some audio problem on Lalita ji's side. Are you able to answer the question? Okay, Vidya Narayanji, I'm unmuting you if you want to answer the question. Yes.
व्याक्रियन्ते व्युत्पद्यते अनेन.
Don't add anything else. We never add anything else in the Vyutpatti. Vyakriyante what?
अनेन.
Vyakriyante anena what? There's one more word that people usually add. Vyakriyante anena shabdaha iti vyakaranam. So the standard definition of vyakaranam, Vyakriyante shabdaha anena iti vyakaranam. Whether we understand it or whether we not understand it, we have to memorize this because this is the standard textbook definition. Vyakriyante anena shabdaha iti vyakaranam. Now let's learn what it means. But before that, I want you to observe that this is a karmani prayoga. Vyakriyante shabdaha anena. So let's try to convert this into kartari. If you want to tell me what would be the kartari conversion of this statement, raise your hands and I will unmute you. What is the kartari conversion of this statement? That's the question. What is the kartari conversion of this statement? People who have already raised hands can take them down or can keep them as it is. But if you don't want to answer, take your hands down. The question is clear. Vyakriyante shabdaha anena. What is the kartari version of this? Yeah, Vidyaji, you can answer this.
प्रयते महोदय शब्दान् व्याकरोति शब्दान् व्याकुरुते वा
Shabdan vyakaroti. What else? Where is
अयम्
anena gone?
अयम्
Shabdan vyakaroti ayam. Is there anybody who doesn't agree with this? So she says she converted shabdaha to shabdan, anena to ayam, vyakriyante becomes vyakaroti. Shabdan vyakaroti ayam iti vyakaranam. There is a problem with this particular conversion. The problem is that if you say vyakaroti shabdan ayam, then that ayam is practically useless. So for example, you say kumbham karoti iti kumbhakaraha. It's a simple word. So kumbham karoti ayam iti kumbhakara iti nochyate. Kumbham karoti kumbhakaraha. So you can just say shabdan vyakaroti iti vyakaranam. There was no need to create a convoluted karmani form. So that's one problem. The second problem is Vyakaran is an inanimate entity. It's not going to, whatever Vyakaroti means, it's not going to do that. So Vyakriyante Shabdaha Anena, the Kartari form of that is not Vyakaroti Shabdan Ayam, because this Anena that you see over here, is not the karta of the Vyakarana Kriya. It is the Karana, it is the tool of the Vyakarana Kriya. This is the reason every textbook will teach this particular statement, Vyakriyante Shabda Anena, without really making sure whether students understand this or not. Anena is a Karana, it is a tool. So Kashchana, Chhatraha, Panditaha, Vidwan, Vayyakaranaha, Indraha. I'm going to talk to that. I'm going to come to that. So Indraha Shabdan Yena Sadhanena Vyakaroti Tat Sadhanam Vyakaranam. Now, if you see this Kartari Vyutpatti, it becomes pretty long. Vyakaroti Kashchana Shabdan Yena Sadhanena. And therefore, for Laghavatva, we create a Karmani Vyutpatti Vyakriyante Shabdaha Anena iti Vyakaranam. So understand what is Vyakaranam? Whatever that Vyakaroti action is, the tool, the sadhana of that Vyakaroti action is the Vyakarana. And therefore, many times in koshas, they'll give the Vyutpatti as Vyakriyante Shabdaha Anena, they will say Karane Lyut. The Lyut Pratyay in that kru verb is added in the sense of Karana. Karane Lyut is what you will find written in the koshas. This is the meaning. Karana is the sadhana. So the tool, the sadhana with which the action of vyakaranam, the vyakaroti is being done on the words is vyakaranam. Now, so far so good. What is vyakaroti? V plus A plus karoti. It's a form with the upasargas. We have our ashtadhyayi.com. You go to the kru verb, you open the 17th tab, learn how to use the website. It's a super powerful tool. Go to Upasargartha Chandrika, see this particular section, scroll down, see this particular section. V plus A plus kru. A is upasarga, V is upasarga, vyakaroti. Look at the meanings. Vyakaroti, dvidha karoti, breaks apart. Pruthak karoti, vivinakti. So it breaks the words apart. So the tool that breaks the words apart is Vyakarana, dvidha karoti. And how is this Vyakaranam being done? Scroll further down and you will see more details. Prakruti pratyayadi vibhagena vibhajayati. So you break down the words in a prakriti on one side and pratyaya on another side, and that is your vyakarana. So vyakaranam vyakaroti ityukte dvidha karoti, prathak karoti, prakatayati, nishpadayati, spashti karoti, and that the technique or the tool with which that dvidha bhavanam happens is vyakarana. So far so good. Any questions? The problem over here is that with this definition is that this dvidha karanam only makes sense if something was not already dvidha. I mean, breaking apart, the action of breaking apart makes sense only when it was continuous, only when it was one full entity. So the question that we are now going to ask is that यदि शब्दान व्याकरणम द्विधा करोति व्याकरोति पृथक करोति तर्हि पूर्वी किम तर्हि पूर्वं किम आसीत्? What was there earlier? And the answer to that question is आदौ भाषा अव्याकृता आसीत्. भाषायां शब्दानां पृथक पृथक प्रकृति प्रत्यय विभागः नैव अवर्तत. What is Prakriti Pratyaya Vibhaga? You say Ramaha, Rama is Prakriti and Su is Pratyaya. You say Asti, Asa is Prakriti and Ti is Pratyaya. We all have enough Sanskrit background to understand a Krit Pratyaya and a Ting Pratyaya and a Sup Pratyaya and a Tadhita Pratyaya, Stri Pratyaya and so on. So the language that we see today broken down into Prakriti and Pratyaya, earlier it was Avyakruta. भाषायां शब्दानां पृथक पृथक प्रकृति प्रत्यय विभागः नैव अवर्तत. But then in that case, how did people learn the language? Well, Bruhaspatihi, the guru of Devas, Indraya, to the king of Devas. Indra is the king of Devas. So Bruhaspatihi, Indraya, Divyam Varsha Sahasram, for thousands of god years, which is equivalent to more than 3 lakh human years. So for Divyam Varsha Sahasram, प्रतिपदोक्तानां शब्दानां शब्दपारायणं प्रोवाच नान्तं जगाम. The guru of gods, Bruhaspati, he taught all the words to Indra. Now, because there was no Prakriti Pratyaya, you have to teach Ramaha, Ramo, Ramaha separately, and then you have to teach Krishnaha, Krishnau, Krishnaha. Now that we have Prakriti Pratyaya Vibhaga, we know that if Rama plus Su becomes Ramaha, use the same logic to do Krishna plus Su Krishnaha and Mukunda plus Su Mukundaha. But then if there is no Prakriti Pratyaya Vibhaga, you cannot derive Krishna, Krishna, Krishnaha along with Rama, Ramo, Rama. So you have to give the Upadesha separately. So teach Rama, Ramo, Rama separately, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna separately, Mukunda, Mukunda, Mukunda separately, and so on. So Bruhaspatihi Indraya Divyam Varsha Sahasram Pratipadokta, individual words without breaking them down. Pratipadoktanam Shabdanam Shabdaparayanam Provacha Nantan Jagama. It did not end. He kept on talking, Indra kept on learning, and there was no end. Na antam labdhavan, na antam jagama. And then somehow eventually Indra learned everything. And then when the time came for Indra to teach it to other devas just gave up. They said, maybe you have that intellect of learning all the words separately. We are not that smart. So do something for us. Give us a structure with which we can learn. Break the words down into Prakriti and Pratyaya. There is a reference in Taittiriya Samhita which says, Vagvai Parachi Avyakruta Avadat. In olden days, the language was spoken indistinctly, Avyakruta, not separated out into Prakriti Pratyaya. Te Devaha, those gods, Indram Abruvan. They told Indra, they gave up on learning the language and they said to Indra, Imam Naha Vacham Vyakuru iti. Krupya Asyaha Vachaha Pruthakkaranam Kuru. Imam Asmakam Vacham Asmakam Bhasham Vanim Vyakuru. Please separate it out for us to learn. And then, after the request from the gods, And after a little bit of bribe, that part I have omitted because it is not relevant. Tam Indraha, tam ityukte tam vacham, tam vanim, Indraha, madhyataha avakramya, he broke it in the middle, vyakarot, tasmad iyam vyakruta vagudyate. And therefore now we call this Vani as a Vyakruta Vani. Sayanacharya, who has written a commentary on Taittiriya Samhita, explains this Madhyataha Avakramya part. Tam Akhandam Vacham Madhye Vichidya, broke down in the middle. Prakriti Pratyaya Vibhagam Sarvatra Akarot. Every word is now made up of a Prakriti and a Pratyaya. Because of that, now there is a structure to the language. Once you understand how Rama combines with Su, or once you understand how, say, Patha combines with Twa to give Patitva, you can use the same logic for Hasa to combine with Twa, giving Hasitva, or Chala combining with Twa to Chalitva, and so on. So it was Indra who first came up with the idea of breaking down the words into Prakriti Pratyaya Vibhaga. Sarva Prathamam Indraha Shabdan Prakriti Pratyaya Rupena Vyabhajayat. Ataha Indraha Adimaha Vaiyakaranaha. The very first grammarian is Indra. And what did he do? He broke the word into Prakriti Pratyaya Vibhaga. Shabdasya Prakriti Pratyaya Rupena Vibhajanam Krutva Bhashayaha Akruti Nirmanam. Create a skeleton for the language. Iti Vyakaranasya Vishayaha Asti. So what is Vyakarana all about? Sadhu Shabdas versus Asadhu Shabdas. But how do you know if it is a Sadhu Shabda? You break it down and say that this is a valid Prakruti, this is a valid Pratyaya, and there is a valid rule to combine them. And that's how it becomes a Sadhu Shabda. And if you cannot find such a division, then it's an Asadhu Shabda. Ataha शब्दस्य प्रकृति प्रत्यय रूपेण विभाजनं कृत्वा भाषायाः आकृति निर्माणं तदनुषंगेन च साधु शब्दानाम् असाधु शब्देभ्यः पृथक्करणम् इति व्याकरणस्य विषयः अस्ति. I'm going to continue. At any point in time, if there are any questions, you can raise hands. Vidyaji, do you have a question? If not, please pull down your hands so that same with Lalita, Achyuta. If you don't have question, please pull down the hand. I'll lower everybody's hands. Those of you who have questions, please raise the hands now onwards. So that's all the Vyakarana is about. And let's dive a little bit deeper into this. Why do you really need this particular Vyakarana? Why do you need this particular Prakriti Pratyay division? Prakriti Pratyay Vibhagasya Avashyakata ka Pratipada Pathaha Ashakyaha. You just cannot do Pratipada Pathaha, infinite Pratipadics, and then even if there are limited number of dhatus, there Lakara forms and Krudanta forms, and then for Pratipadikas, Tadhita forms, and then add sun and then add nich on the top of it, and so on. You have seen recently the website was updated and you have seen how bad shape it is. Too many of the tabs are there, and still a lot of stuff is not available. So too many verb forms. Tadhitas are there, Krudantas are there, three forms are there, and so on. So Prakriti Pratyay Vibhagam Vina Sakala Shabda Sadhutva Nirdeshartham Kopi Anyaha Margaha Navartate Pratipada Pathaha Ashakyaha. As we saw on the previous slide, Bruhaspatihi, so the most intelligent teacher, and Indra, the most intelligent student. So Bruhaspatihi Indraya Divyam Varsha Sahasram Pratipadoktanam Shabdanam Shabdaparayanam Provacha Nantan Jagama, never ended. Bruhaspatihi Pravakta. So it's not like you and me. Bruhaspatihi Pravakta. Indraha Adhyeta. Divyam Varsha Sahasram. So 3 lakh years, more than that. Nantan Jagama. And why is that? That is because the number of words is not just one level of infinity, it is yet altogether a different level of infinity. Mahan Shabdasya Prayoga Vishayaha. Saptadvipa Vasumati. There are 7 continents. Trayaha Lokaha, 3 lokas. Chatvarha Vedaha, 4 Vedas. Sangaha, they have their own Vedangas. Vyakarana, Chanda, Nirukta. I'm going to show it on the next slide. Sarahasyaha, Bahudha Bhinnaha. Vedas also come in variations. Ekashatam Advaryu Shakhaha. Sahasravarma, Advaryu Shakha is Yajurveda. 100 branches of Yajurveda. Sahasravarma, Samaveda, 1000 branches of Samaveda. Ekavimshadeda Bhavrucham, Rigveda, 21 versions. Navadha, Atharva Veda divided into 9 variations, branches. Vako Vakyam, the dialogues inside the Vedas. Itihasa, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Purana, Vaidyakam, how much to count? Ityetavat Shabdasya Prayoga Vishayaha. The number of words that exist is so huge that it's just not possible to do that Pratipada Patha, listing down the words. Koshas will only list a handful of words that are commonly used. No kosha will list Rama, Ramo, Ramaha, Ramam, Ramo, Raman, and so on. So you need a Prakriti Pratyaya Vibhaga. The Jnana Deepika Tika of Mahabharata puts it in a very beautiful way. Mahabharata is typically looked upon by saying that there are a lot of words in Mahabharata which are not derivable by Panini's grammar. So we say these are apaniniya prayogaha. There is no rule in Panini's grammar to derive them. So this Jnana Deepika Tika very aptly answers that question. It says it's not because there is a problem in Mahabharata, it's because there is problem in your grammar. Nadrushtaha iti vayyase shabdema samshayam kruthaha. Vayyasa means vyasasya krutihi ityukte Mahabharatam. Nadrushtaha. Don't ever think that a certain word in Vyasasya Kruti in Mahabharata is never seen, is not a valid word, is never seen elsewhere. Vayyase shabde ayam shabdaha nadrushtaha iti samshaya ma kuru. Don't even think about that. If you don't know that word, it's not because the word is wrong, but it's because you have limited knowledge. Adnyaihi adnyatam. Those who don't know that that particular domain will not know that particular word. So adnyaihi adnyatam ityeva padam nahi na vidyate. Na padam iti na vidyate. Certain word is not a valid pada. Don't even dare to talk about this. Every word in Mahabharata is a valid word. If your grammar cannot derive it, it's a limitation of your grammar. So nadrishta iti vayyase shabde ma samshayam kruthaha Adnyaihi adnyatamityeva padam nahi na vidyate. So therefore, so many words that you need to do Prakriti Pratyaya Vibhaga in order to get some structure on the language. And a very interesting thing is that this Prakriti Pratyaya Vibhaga comes from the mind of a Vaiyakarana, from a grammarian, somebody who is writing the grammar. The Prakriti Pratyaya Vibhaga has no value other than in your mind. So when I, for example, when I say asti is asa as a verb and ti as a pratyaya, it's not forced that asa is a verb and ti as a pratyaya. Asa as a separate thing and ti as a separate thing has no existence. It's just in your head that you have created an artificial structure, asa and ti, so that you can then derive other forms like shasa plus ti becomes shasti and so on. So the beauty of this Prakriti Pratyaya Vibhaga is that it is hypothetical, purely hypothetical. What exists in the language is Ramaha, Ramaha. Whether you create the word Rama as a Prakriti and Au as a Pratyaya, or whether you create it as a Rama as a Prakriti and O as a Pratyaya, because Rama plus O will still be Rama, and Rama plus Au will still be Rama. Or you create it as Rama plus O. Whatever you create, it's in your brain. Just like the way, let me give a very simple or a beautiful analogy over here. When you look at the night sky, you see billions of stars arranged all over. Our ancient rishis looked at those stars and they hypothetically connected these stars to form constellations, the Rashis and the Nakshatras. So when you look at Saptarshi, for example, you see something like a spoon, but that's purely our own visualization, random connection of the dots. The 7 stars in Saptarshi are at a completely different locations, distances, and if you go to some other solar system, you won't even see them arranged in that way. But still, that hypothetical structure is very useful for us, and we resort it for our own understanding, for navigation, even for predictions, Jyotisha, and so on. So that's exactly the case over here. There is a book, very advanced book on grammar called Parama Laghu Manjusha. People learn it in the second year of MA, only in some courses. There, Nagesha, who is one of the phenomenal grammarian of 19th century, Nagesha starts this book by saying, Varnadinam kalpanikatvam. Varna over here doesn't mean letter. Varna means Prakriti Pratyaya Vibhaga. So he explains this. Prakriti Pratyayaha tadartha vachakaha, and everything is kalpanik. Upasarga, Nipata, Dhatvadi Vibhagaha pi kalpanikaha. At the end of the day, the word that exists in the language is agachati. Whether a is upasarga and gachati is tinganta, or whether aga is upasarga and chati is tinganta, it's up to you to do that breakup. All that is needed is just break it up so that some structure is created. So upasarga nipata dhatvadi vibhagaha api kalpanikaha sthaninaha ladayah. Lada is lakaras. Adeshaha tibadayaha. Tiptasjhi, the thing pratyas. Kalpitaha eva. Rishidhi sthaninam kalpitaha arthaha. So tip pratyay means something, then su pratyay means something. All is hypothetical. Kantharavaihi uktaha sthaninam vachakatvam adeshanam va iti vicharaha nishphalaha eva. Everything, entire grammar, I always say this, entire grammar is an intellectual exercise, absolutely hypothetical, but with immense practical significance. Prakriti pratyaya vibhagaha kapola kalpitaha tathapi atyantam upayogi. And it is this hypothetical Prakriti pratyaya vibhaga that we are going to learn in the next 1 year or so. Let's move ahead. At any point in time, if there is a question, please feel free to raise the hand, and then I will pause, or after whatever material is done, I will pause and I will unmute you and I will allow you to speak. This is supposed to be an interactive class. Because today is first class, I'm going to talk, but going on, I'm going to unmute more and more of you, sometimes by calling names a little bit later when we go into the subject matter. For today, just try to grasp as much as you can get. So how old is this grammar? I mean, we all probably know Panini's grammar, which is like 600, 500 BC. But is that all? So just now we saw Indra was the one who created the grammar. So it all starts all the way from Indra. So Brahma Bruhaspataye Provacha, Bruhaspatihi Indraya. Till that point, it was a Pratipada Patha, that is the list of words. Then Indra broke it down. Indraha Bharadwajaya, Bharadwaja Rishibhya, Rishayo Brahmanebhya, and so on. So then it went on from Indra to Bharadwaja, Bharadwajas to Rishis to Brahmana, and so on. And basically, you can see Vyakarana present in the Vedas also. One of the Vedangas, in fact, the first of the Vedangas is Vyakaranam. Prathamam Chandasam Angam. Chandas ityukte Vedaha. Prathamam Chandasam Angam Ahur Vyakaranam Budhaha. Bhartruhari in his Vakyapadiyam, same Bhartruhari whom you know by Niti Shataka, same Bhartruhari also wrote a very beautiful book on grammar called Vakyapadiyam. He wrote in his, or writes in his Vakyapadiyam, Asannam Brahmanastasya Parabrahma, asana sitting next to it is this grammar. So this grammar sits next to this asana, or even you can say Veda. Brahma can also be translated as Veda. And then sitting next to the Veda, the very first Vedanga sits next to the Veda is the Vyakarana Tapasam Uttamam Tapaha Prathamam Chandasam Angam Ahur Vyakaranam Budhaha. And I hope most of you, or hopefully all of you, know all these Vedangas. Chandaf Padau tu Vedasya Hastau Kalpotha Pathyate Jyotisham Ayanam Chakshur Niruptam Shrotamichyate Shikshagranam tu Vedasya Mukham Vyakaranam Smritam. So Vyakarana is the Mukha of the Veda. In the next class, I'm going to talk about this Shiksha and Nirukta in a little bit more details, because they are also very closely related to Vyakarana. So the point over here, the point to note is that the Vyakarana is present in the Vedas themselves. Every Veda has its own Vyakarana. Understand this. Rigveda has its own Vyakarana which is used for Prakriti Pratyay Vibhaga of the words in Rigveda. Same for Yajurveda, Samaveda. So the Vaidika Vyakaranam, the Vyakarana of each Veda, is commonly known as Pratishakyam. So Vedeshu Vidyamanam, Vedasya Padapatha Jnanartham Yad Vyakaranam Upayogi, Tad Pratishakyam Namna Jnayate. So you have Rigvediya Pratishakyam, Vajasaneyi for the Shukla Yajurveda, Taittiriya Pratishakyam for the Krishna Yajurveda, Samaveda Pratishakyam, and so on. Not just Vedas, but in Puranas you see Vyakarana. Agni Purana has a detailed list of verses on word transformations and Prakriti Pratyay Vibhaga. You see references of Vyakarana in Ramayana. So when Rama meets Hanuman for the first time in Kishkindha Kanda, Hanuman speaks phenomenal Sanskrit with not even one mistake. And Rama is awestruck by looking at his skill, grammar skills. And Rama says this to Lakshmana in Kishkindha Kanda, Nunam Vyakaranam Anena Krutsnam Bahudha Shrutam Bahuvyaharata Anena Nakinchid Apabhashitam. He spoke so much Sanskrit, but not a single word was spoken incorrectly. Nakinchid Apabhashitam. So Hanuman is actually known to be the scholar of 9 different grammars. So Nava Vyakaranajnaha iti Hanuman Asit iti Uchyate. So basically, many people have created grammar, right? As I mentioned, it's just a hypothetical division of words into Prakriti and Pratyaya. So there are lots and lots of grammars. In fact, 8 or 9 grammars are very popular. So you have Brahmam, Aishanam, Aindram, Prajapatyam, Bruhaspatim, Twashtram, Apishalam, Cheti, Paniniyam, Athashtamam. 8 important grammars are listed in this particular shloka. Brahma grammar, Aishana grammar, Aindra grammar, Prajapatya grammar, Bruhaspati grammar, Twashtra grammar, Apishala grammar, and Paniniyam. There are many such shlokas that talk about various different names. There are so many grammars that you can always create shlokas listing your favorite ones. So Indraschandraha, Kashakrusna, Pishali, Shakatayanaha, Panini, Amara Jainendra, Jayanti, Ashta Shabdikaha. Shabdikaha, Vayyakaranaha. Aindram, Chandram, Kashakrutnam, Kaumaram, Shakatayanam, Saraswatam, Chapishalam, Shakalyam, Paniniyatam. So many grammars. How many means 5, 10, 15, 20? No, more than 100. See, the list is over here and there was no space on the slide, so I stopped. Apishali, Kashyapa, Gargya, Galava, Chakavarana, Bharadwaja, Shakatayana, Shakalya. The list goes on. I'll give you a minute to look at how many Vyakaranas exist. So look at the scope of our subject, how wide our subject is. There is this Bhoja Vyakarana over here. It is actually ironically there on our website as well. So if you go to our website, go to the right menu, there is a section of Anya Vyakaranani. And for now, I only have one Vyakarana, Saraswati Kanthabharanam, which is Bhojaraja's Vyakarana. So Maharaja Dhiraja Bhojaraja Virachatam Saraswati Kanthabharanam. This Vyakarana is 1.5 times Paninian Vyakarana. So Panini's Vyakarana is 4,000 sutras. This Saraswati Kanthabharanam is more than 6,000 sutras, 6,400 sutras. So many of these grammars are much bigger than Paninian grammar. And if you notice carefully, the name of Paninian grammar is not there in this list at all. So Paninian grammar is nothing special. It's just yet another grammar that happens to be at the right place at the right time, and therefore it gains so much popularity, and now we are going to learn it. So I always give this analogy that our sun, the sun of our solar system, is a great star for us and it gives life to Earth and so on. But if you zoom out a little bit at the level of galaxy, this sun is a minuscule star. Literally, there are billions of stars which are much larger than sun. And looking at the level of the galaxy or even at the level of cosmos, sun as a star has literally no value. It is just yet another random star in that whole group of stars. That's exactly what it is. There's so many grammars. Paniniya Vyakaranam is just one tiny bit of that. So there is a Saraswata Bhashyam which beautifully demonstrates this. These two shlokas on this slide are my most favorite shlokas. Samudravad Vyakaranam Maheshware. I'm going to ask one of you to explain me the meaning of this. So listen to the shloka carefully and then raise your hand if you want to help me decipher the meaning of this. Very simple shloka. It tells you how small is Paniniya Vyakaranam as compared to the whole ocean of Vyakaranas. So Samudravad Vyakaranam Maheshware tad ardhakumbhodharanam bruhaspatau tad bhaga bhagacha gatam purandare kushagra bindu patitam hi paninau. I hope the meaning is clear, but only I have been talking. So yes, PV Sudhavalli, very fast. No, pull down your hand. Okay, I'll wait for somebody to raise hands. Please give me the meaning of this. Yes, Sudhavalli, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself. PV Sudhavalli, you can unmute yourself. Okay, seems you're not able to unmute yourself. Let's go to Subhashini ji. Subhashini ji, I'm going to unmute you. Try out. Yes, you can unmute and speak.
नमस्ते महोदय।
नमस्ते, वदतु।
श्लोकस्य अर्थः महेश्वरे समुद्रस्य
You can speak in English, that's okay. I mean, make sure that you understand.
विशालं तु यथा अस्ति तथा महेश्वरे व्याकरणम् अस्ति। तत् किञ्चित् तस्मात् अर्धः अस्ति बृहस्पतौ, अपि च
अर्धकुम्भ, half a pot. So half a pot was taken from the ocean. Imagine Pacific Ocean and you take half a pot. That's the Vyakarana which Bruhaspati had. So remember, Bruhaspati started the chain Bruhaspati Indraya. So our Brahma gave to Bruhaspati. So Maheshwara, Shiva, who is the Adya Janaka of language, he has the Vyakarana of the words is like an ocean. Yeah. Go ahead.
And Brihaspatau, it's like a half a part Vyakarana. Brihaspati he knew, or he and Purandara Vishnu he knew.
Purandara is Indra. Indra just took one. So remember the sequence from Bruhaspati to Indra. So Bruhaspati had half a kumbha and Indra took one small part of it. Tad bhaga bhagacha gatam purandare. So Indra took one small part of it. And what happens after that in the last?
Kushagra bindu it's a small drop on the tip of grass.
Correct. Very good. Small tip of that water fell on the top of the grass, and that's what the Paniniya Vyakaranam is. So that drop is what we are going to learn in next 1 year, and even 10% of that drop we are going to learn in next 1 year. So Samudravad Vyakaranam Maheshware tad ardhakumbhodharanam bruhaspatau tad bhaga bhaga jagatam purandare kushagra bindu patitam hi paninau. And a few slides earlier, I talked about the Alpiyastvam of Paniniya Vyakarana when it comes to the words in Mahabharata. A lot of words in Mahabharata cannot be derived by Paniniya Vyakarana. So there is this next shloka in the same Tika, Jnana Deepika Tika, which almost insults Paninian grammar. One of the very, very beautiful shlokas, again my favorite. Yani Ujjahara Mahendrat Vyaso Vyakaranarnavat Padaratnani Kimtani Santi Panini Goshpade. So Goshpada is a small ditch. When a cow is walking, if there is a mud, if a cow places its foot in a mud, a small 5 centimeter by 5 centimeter ditch is formed. That is called Goshpada. So the Panini Vyakarana is like that Goshpada as compared to Mahendra, Aindra Vyakaranam, which is like an ocean. Vyakaranasya Arranavaha, ocean of the Vyakarana. And Vyasa had access to that Vyakarana and he picked beautiful words from that Vyakarana. Padaratnani, Ujjahara, ityukte Uddhrutavan, picked up. Yani Uddhrutavan. So Vyasaha, Mahendrad Vyakaranarnavat, Yani Padaratnani, the jewels of the words, Uddhrutavan. Will you find a single of those jewels in the ditch called Panini Goshpada? or Panini Vyakarana is a kind of an insult done over here. So Padaratnani Kimtani Santi Panini Goshpade. And that's the Goshpada that we are going to learn in next 1 year. And still, we will not be able to learn that fully, because again, coming to that analogy, if Paniniya Vyakaranam is the Goshpada, then we are like small bacteria or amoeba in that Goshpada. So if you take a drop of water, there are billions of bacteria in that. Therefore, for a small bacteria, even traversing the entire Goshpada is a matter of multiple lifetimes. And that's what we are. So for us who are equivalent to, God knows, bacteria and amoeba and so on, this Panini Goshpada is itself like our sun. No other star we are able to reach. So it's only sun that we have to pray and make sure that we understand it. So that's the Panini Goshpada, that's the Panini Vyakaranam that we are going to learn starting from the next class. So here I want to stop. Here is a Griha Karya, but before that, if there are any questions, I'm going to pull down the hands of people right now. But if you have questions, please raise the hand again, and then I will unmute you, and then you can ask questions. It's too much, I know, to take in first class, and I'm sure, I hope you are like all stuck with what is the level of Vyakarana and what are we going to learn. Let's see how we can change that feeling over the next few days. So here is the homework. As I mentioned, every class is going to have the homework. Aruna Surendranji, yeah, please speak.
Namaskar, Mahoday. It's just a general question. There are some people texting in the group that they are not able to join the session. Is there something do you have to allow them to join?
No, I mean, I have not done anything. I have not locked the session or anything. Must be some issue on their side. But don't worry, it happens in every of my class. People will usually get used to it, and the recording will be available in a day, so they should be able to catch up. Okay, that should
Thank
not
you.
be. Thank you for informing, but it's a common technical glitch that happens with people.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other questions or any other concerns? So this is the homework. As I mentioned, Vidyaji, you have a comment or a question. Namaste.
नमस्कारः महोदय, तत्र वर्गः श्वः भविष्यति किल?
वर्गः श्वः भविष्यति.
अस्तु.
That's okay. If you are going to miss class, that's okay. Try not to miss class, because this kind of interaction is going to help you learn much more than just watching the videos passively. But if you're going to miss class once in a while, that's okay. Catch up on the recordings. What is more important is the homework. Every class is going to have the homework. This is the running document. So it's the same document at which the homework will be appended towards the end. Please make sure that you do the homework. You do not have to submit the homework anywhere. What in fact I'm going to recommend is that some people in your area, in your time zone, in your city who are participating in this course, either directly in the live classes or who are following offline. Please make a group, a WhatsApp group, a Telegram group, and discuss the homework questions among yourselves. Write down the homework questions and then check each other's questions. That's one way. Second way, we can actually discuss homework questions in the class if you want, but then we will need to take extra classes, once in 15 days, once in a month, and so on. We'll talk about that a little later. But for now, at least make sure that you are doing all the homeworks regularly. Every class is going to have homework. It will take 30 to 45 minutes for you to do the homework. There'll be 2 questions in every homework. So this is the first lesson, Vyakarana Shastra Praveshaha. So adhodaktanam prashnanam ekavakyena uttarani likhata. Hopefully now everything should be easy. व्याकरणम इति शब्दस्य व्युत्पत्तिं कर्तरि प्रयोगेण कर्मणि प्रयोगेण च लिखत. इंद्रः व्याकरणं कं प्रोवाच. Who Indra told, I mean, Indra is the speaker. Who is the listener? Indra Vyakaranam Kam Provacha. Vakyam Purayata. Bruhaspatishcha Pravakta, and so on. Nantan Jagama. Kim Nama Pratishakyam. So Vedas Vyakarana is called Pratishakyam. Shad Vedangani Kani. Shloka Rupena Vadata. I have taught the shloka. Keshamapi Dashanam Vyakarananam Namani Likhata. Adau Vanim Kaha Vyakarot. Vyakarana Shastre Akhandasya Shabdasya Pruthakkaranam Katham Kriyate. रामायणे किष्किन्धाकाण्डे व्याकरणस्य सन्दर्भेण हनुमतः वर्णनं कथं कृतमस्ति? And Indram Chandram Shlokam Purayata. So that's the first question. Please write down. No, don't solve these questions orally. Make a notebook or type on computer, whatever is your style, but make sure to type all the answers. Adhudattanam shlokanam anvaya sahitam tatparyam likhata. So do the pada parichay anvaya tatparya. Samudravad vyakaranam maheshware yenakshara samamnayam yanyujjahara mahendrat na drushtaiti vayyase yena dhauta giraf pumsam. Some shlokas are new, but I hope you should be able to do a little bit of research and get the answers to these. So that's all from my side. I'm going to wait for a minute. There is one raised hand. Vidyaji, you want to speak? If you're not, please lower. Yeah, no. Okay. So I'm going to wait for a minute. Please feel free to speak. No question is stupid. Don't be afraid. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll disconnect. We will meet tomorrow every Thursday and Friday. See, we have people from US and India. So for US based people, every Thursday and Friday, 8 to 9 p.m. PST is the course timing. For people in India, it becomes Friday and Saturday, 9:30 in the morning. So tomorrow we are going to have the class at the same time. TV Sudhavalli, I'm going to unmute you. Namaste. Tell me. I have unmuted you. You need to unmute yourself then, and then you will be able to talk. I have already unmuted you. Okay, since you are not able to unmute yourself and speak. Okay, so these are small technical glitches. Please make sure next time that your microphone works properly, you are able to mute and unmute yourself and so on. And in the worst case, there is a chat box, so you can type the message and send it as a chat. But remember, the chat goes to everybody, not to me only, not to me alone, but you can always use that. So that's all on time. I'll try to finish every class by 9 o'clock, but sometimes if the material flows, I mean, if there are too many questions and I need to finish a certain material in each class, so the class might get extended for 15 more minutes. So 60 minutes to 75 minutes is the duration of each class. So samapayamah shwaha asminev samaye punah vargah bhavishyati. Mangalacharanam krutva samapayamah. अष्टाध्यायी जगन्माता यस्य चित्तात् समुत्थिता वेदानामुपकाराय तस्मै पाणिनये नमः. शब्द ब्रह्म समाराध्य कृतवान्यो विलक्षणं सर्वाश्चर्यमिदं शास्त्रं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः. येन धौता गिरः पुंसां विमलैः शब्दवारिभिः तमश्चाज्ञानजं भिन्नं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः. धन्यवादः. शुभरात्रिः, शुभदिनं.